As we continue to make progress towards Cambodian peace agreement and to have greater access into Vietnam, other issues about searching for POW MIAs centered around other countries. I had negotiated access into Cambodia. During a trip to Beijing, I met with foreign ministry officials, explained to them that American pilots had crashed in Vietnam, or had been shot down over Vietnam, but crashed in China. And we had not been able to get information about their fate. We had not been able to recover their remains. And I asked quietly, out of the spotlight of public affairs, but in private meetings, for Chinese help. And some weeks later, after my approach to the Vice Foreign Minister of China, asking for help, we received information. And our embassy was called in and presented in response to Secretary Quinn's request. China was now providing photos and artifacts and information about a number of Navy pilots, Air Force pilots who had crashed, been killed in China, but of whom we had not been able to have information. And then later, as snows melted in the Himalaya mountains in western China, they found crashes of planes from World War II. The Chinese took a number of steps, and this is during a time when relationship had been rocky and up and down, took a number of steps and provided us with dramatic information, including from crashes from World War II and Vietnam. But probably the most dramatic developments came in trips to Russia. I visited, and we had negotiations in Moscow, flew to Vladivostok, Khabarovsk. We spoke with prison guards who had guarded prisons in World War II. There was a belief that American prisoners had been held in Vietnam, but that some, even in the Vietnam War, the Soviets didn't get lean on the Vietnamese, take American live pilots out of Vietnam and bring them to the Soviet Union where they could be interrogated, information could be extracted from them. And so we went to now the Russian government, this new government, and we interacted with Russian officials and former military officers who seemed genuinely wanting to provide us with information, wanting to use this as a new relationship, a new way of opening up. And I remember as I pressed for information, and we were taken down into this building which was identified as the former Soviet state security building, and we're taken down into a basement. And it's an old building, and we're walking down this narrow hallway and just a few light bulbs hanging from the ceiling. They come to these big double doors, and they put a key in. It's kind of a rusty key, and turn the lock and open it up, and we walk inside, and they turn on lights in this enormous room filled with what looked like old card catalogs from the library, where they used to keep little pieces of paper with a note about each book, and if you were going to look for a book, you'd go through the card catalog. Well, they had all sorts of catalogs like that, pieces of furniture filled with drawers that be pulled out. And they said, in here are over 4 million cards on which is the name and identification information about every person ever held by Soviet state security from World War II and beyond. Where do you want to start? It was stunning. It was this incredible moment. We were being offered the opportunity to bring our people in and go through all of these Soviet records. It was an incredible gesture. They brought in officers, for intelligence officers, would sit across from us in rooms who were active on duty during the Vietnam War. I remember one of them saying to us, "Look, I understand. If I were you, I wouldn't believe me either. But I'm here to tell you, we never took any American pilot out of Vietnam. We wanted to, but the Vietnamese wouldn't let us." Now, it was a dramatic gesture in these early days after the collapse of the Soviet Union. But I was surprised that it wasn't received as positively as I thought. So after all these actions, our American team, which was led by a former U.S. ambassador to the Soviet Union, and we're back at the embassy in a secure area discussing what had happened. And the ambassador said, we're not getting anywhere with this. Let's just pack up, tell them we're leaving, we're going home. Everybody else who just worked on Soviet affairs said, yeah, you're right. I said, wait a minute. If we had gotten even 1/10 of what the Russians have offered us from the Vietnamese when we were in Hanoi, we'd have thought we had an amazing breakthrough. This is incredible what the Russians are doing. The openness they're providing. We don't get that anywhere. And so with my input, the mission continued. And we continued to get information. We got to interview prison guards. We showed up in Khabarovsk, and the Russians said to us, where do you want to go? You want to search prisons? Tell us which prison you want to go to. We'll take you there. You identify the prison. So our guys, our Americans, came up with it. We went to the prison. They put us in with the prisoners, said, stay here, talk to anybody you want. We're leaving. We'll come back when you're done. They were incredibly open. There was this incredible moment, incredible opportunity. I look back now and say, it's kind of a shame that maybe we didn't take as much opportunity of that moment as we might have. But it was a stunning breakthrough, along with the breakthrough in Vietnam, breakthrough in Cambodia, breakthrough in China, getting information, and now in Russia. And I was part and a lead part in the first three, and a significant part of the one with Russia. A great diplomatic achievement, part of my career.